to Jags Drive Time with Ashlyn Sullivan, John Oehser, and Brian Sexton. Jags Drive Time starts right now.
I'm excited. I'm just containing my excitement. No. All right, come on, let's go!
That is one happy locker room after the Jaguars win yesterday over the Raiders 27-20 and coming back from a 17-point deficit. Welcome into Jaguars Drive Time on a Monday morning. Ashlyn, Brian, and John here with you. It is the second largest comeback in franchise history. I had to double check that because I thought there's got to be something more than that. But it's true. The second largest comeback in franchise history.
I couldn't recall one. And then, but I had just the week of the Giants game written about one for the Historically Speaking about that, and it kind of slipped my mind that was the biggest comeback in Jags history.
Well, and not to throw water on that comeback, but that was sort of a weird comeback, that Giants game. If you recall, I think they had 2 defensive touchdowns.
They did.
And it was like everything went their way in that game.
Right.
I thought what was striking about this game was it didn't feel like they did anything out of the ordinary. It felt like an NFL comeback these days. You get down 17, and it's such an offensive league that if you get back to 17-10, 20-10, it's really a regular game. I thought they showed maturity in treating it that way yesterday.
Absolutely. Let's get into big things. Big thing one is breakthrough. After a week where he dealt with a ton of criticism, quarterback Trevor Lawrence managed yesterday's game and looked like a franchise quarterback doing so. 25 of 31 and 53 rushing yards to put on top of that. Never a doubt for 16 that this team would get it done.
Just the belief. I think the whole energy this week, we kind of knew we had to go get this one this week. Obviously, you don't try to put more pressure on yourselves than you need to, but everybody knows that. You know, where we're at right now in our season, we really gotta turn this thing around and get some wins. So we felt that and just had a lot of confidence in our prep. And I know offensively, obviously, we didn't score first 3 possessions, but I mean, honestly, it wasn't really anything they did that stopped us. We just kind of shot ourselves in the foot. And obviously, they made the play, but so we knew offensively once we could just eliminate some of those errors early and keep a drive going, we were going to be fine. We thought our plan was great, and you could see today everybody we were rolling, so it was awesome.
Big thing, too, is 4 for 4. 4 straight scoring drives for the Raiders to start this game in the first quarter, only for the Jaguars defense to get them off the field 4 straight times when it mattered most in the fourth quarter. All 3 phases delivered this win.
We're just looking for, guys to make plays. We're just looking for opportunities, and I think all of that came true today in this game, and this is a great team win.
And finally, big thing 3 is matchups. We talked all week long about how the Jaguars defense was going to handle the matchup issues with the Raiders. Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller did not play. One guy that is now a big-time matchup problem for the Jaguars and the opponents is Travis Etienne. What changed for Travis Etienne to have this huge week?
It feels much better. It feels much better without the W. So just really want to celebrate with my family, celebrate with my teammates, and just enjoy this one. But tomorrow we got a lot back in, but I ain't worried about tomorrow. I'm going to focus on today, and we're going to enjoy this win.
And there you have it. Those are big things. There are a ton of big storylines for this game. The comeback is, of course, the overwhelming one. But I think Trevor Lawrence as well is a huge story for everything that went wrong last week. And not a huge flashy stat for Trevor Lawrence against the Raiders yesterday. But I think the biggest thing was just he managed the game. And he looks like a franchise quarterback doing it.
I don't know, 81% completion percentage? Mm-hmm. It's pretty flashy.
Yeah,
the comeback may be forgotten, But if this is the start for him, which I think it might be, then that's the biggest story of the game. I thought it was impressive. Not only did he get criticized all week, but then he started off and had, I don't call it boneheaded, but had a turnover close to the red zone, and it felt like, here we go again. And it didn't feel like he played very well in the first couple of series.
Well, then he followed that up with 2 3-and-outs where he was errant with the ball.
And then you sort of woke up, and at the end of the first half, you looked at it and said, okay, he's starting to make throws that the bottom 10 quarterbacks that start in the NFL couldn't make. With zip on the ball, I thought it was an ultra impressive performance for him. I think it's the best I've seen him play. I have more confidence now than at any point in his 26 games that he has a chance to be the guy.
John, yesterday, what you're talking about after the 2 3-and-outs, I said to somebody, when is he going to assert himself, right? When is he going to take that God-given ability that we have all seen and say, you know what, the hell with this, I'm going to do something with it. And that was what he did. And you could see it in the post-game locker room that there was an intensity to him. Now, maybe it's because the last couple of weeks, you've almost seen the big droopy eyes, like, can't believe we're talking about this anymore. But I felt like he really stepped forward and made not just critical passes, but he made tough throws, and he made throws that took some guts.
Right.
And
in big moments. They were down, third down throws, and then running at the right time on third down. I thought for the first time, there may have been one last year, maybe the Colts game at the end of last year, but for the first time, you walked out of the stadium saying, they don't win that game without Trevor.
100%.
And that's the first time that's happened.
Was he 13 of 15 in the second half? Something like that?
Yeah.
It was in one stretch.
10 straight to start the second half. Yeah. At one point, he was 14 of 16 for 150 on those 4 drives. He didn't single-handedly lift the team, something like that, but they don't win that game without his arm talent.
So the Raiders score on 4 straight drives to go up 20-7. And then the Jaguars, 27. Then the Jaguars score on 4 straight drives spanning half, right? And then here's the important part about the Jaguars defense, which couldn't get them off the field in the second half, or in the first half, rather. In the second half, David Carr was 5 of 15 for 29 net passing yards. 29, right? That's it. That's all he did. And in the first half, they couldn't stop the man. He had 251 yards, and Davante Adams was unbeatable.
Yeah.
And yet, in the second half, he had 1 catch for 0 yards. It was the defense really flipped the switch. You're starting to wonder, maybe they've got more holes on this defense than we think. And then all of a sudden, they put that up. Got pressure in the second half. It was impressive to watch Trevor surge past David Carr.
Right. And in a matter of 7 days, the 2 major things that went wrong against the Broncos, the mistakes on Trevor Lawrence and the defense not getting off the field in key moments, totally flipped. It's a different storyline this week in 1 week. 2
other things to mention on the defense. One, Josh Jacobs was averaging 5.6 yards per carry. And they hit him behind the line of scrimmage a half a dozen times yesterday. He had 67 yards, I think, averaged 3.8. When this run defense is on, when they don't have a mobile quarterback that they're facing, this run defense can line up and stop the run, I think, with anybody in the league. They're that good. And then a guy that I've never given him a lot of credit, but in the fourth quarter, Dewey made 2 big plays. Yeah,
He's
I
back.
knew you were going
We're talking about him.
There was on the second to last series, he had the pass rush that forced Carr out to his right, where he threw it errantly way over the head of Davante Adams. And Adams, if that's an accurate pass, is near midfield. So that was a big play. And then, of course, the play on 4th down against Hunter Renfrow. So he came in, and you could see at the end of that video that you started the show with, where Dan Arnold is giving it to him. He came through in a big way yesterday. That was a major
play. He went in and made a play.
For a guy that we're always kind of trying to replace on this roster. But yesterday he made 2 memorable plays.
Absolutely.
When you win, players that you don't expect make huge plays. Smoot, Dewey, credit to Dewey.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Look, the look in your eye. I wish we had a tight shot of your eyes, and you're like, yeah, credit.
No, I mean he
did it yesterday.
He did it.
Give it to him.
As I said, everybody's tried to write this guy off for 4 years, undrafted free agent. The cliche story, if you will.
Yeah.
But you don't make it and make the plays that he makes without something inside.
If he's starting for you, you're going, right? But when he's in a role like he was yesterday where he's able to do something specific,
plug and play.
He's carved a role out for himself. Good
Credit
for
to him. And that is big things when we come back on Jaguars Drive Time. Some highlights from yesterday's win over the Raiders.
Jaguars fans, huddle up for the best defense against expensive car repairs, CarShield. Score big with the nation's #1 automotive protection company, CarShield. They offer affordable plans that cover over 6,000 parts and systems in your car, truck, or SUV. Don't miss any Jaguars action this season with a car breakdown. Call the MVPs at CarShield for their best coverage ever. Call 800-471-1223. 800-471-1223. Go Jags!
Hey Jags fans, Brian Sexton for Dreamfinders Homes. In a complex housing market, do decisions on the biggest purchase of your life stress you out? At Dreamfinders Homes, they can build the home of your dreams in one of their many communities in Northeast Florida. With a mortgage company in-house, they're here to assist you throughout the entire process. Choose from their wide range of single-family homes or townhomes from the 300,000s. Dreamfinders Homes specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. Call 904-590-2545 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bono's is currently expanding its brand with franchise opportunities throughout the Southeast and beyond. Over 70 years of authentic Southern pit barbecue and owning your own business are a great combo. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Call CarShield now if your car is out of manufacturer's warranty. Don't get stuck with expensive mechanical and computer screen repairs. Call CarShield. We're back, Jaguars Drive Time Monday morning, getting ready for some highlights of yesterday's win over the Raiders. Let's go first quarter, first Jaguars drive. The ball is fumbled. You have that here we go again feeling of the Jaguars shooting themselves in the foot and Davante Adams making it seem like this game might be over at halftime.
Drive for Las Vegas. Carr looking for Adams. He's got a step. He's got the catch. He's got a touchdown. Carr looking deep, had Adams down there. He's open, the defender slipped. Adams wide open, touchdown!
And you hear them say in the play call, the defender slipped. And it did seem like Tyson Campbell just lost his footing in that second play. But to me, when I watched this matchup in the first quarter, I thought, all right, Davante Adams, one of the best receivers in the NFL. Tyson Campbell, still maybe an up-and-coming player. And that seemed like the storyline at first.
Yeah, sometimes when a corner is playing a receiver for the first time, he has to sort of figure out what that receiver does in real life as opposed to what he does on film. In talking to Tyson after the game and watching it, it seemed like he was going through a little bit of that in the first half. And in the second half, Davante had a drop that sort of contributed to it being 1 for 0 yards. But Tyson also started making plays on the ball and was closer and forcing some incomplete passes. An impressive game by Tyson to overcome what could have felt like shell shock in the first half and really play well in the second half.
And I don't think the second touchdown was Tyson's fault.
I think it was
Andre
Cisco.
Cisco slipped.
That's $65 million guaranteed dollars and a first and a second round pick that the Raiders gave up for him. So that they would feed him the ball. And if you notice that on that first touchdown, Tyson's in trail and he's just slightly off, but you don't see Davante lift his hands to grab the ball until the ball's almost right there. Davante Adams is as polished as a receiver as you'll find in the game.
And the Jaguars down 17-0 in the second quarter, and finally this offense starts to get clicking.
They're looking at the long haul with their teams. Third down and 8. Pressure's coming. Lawrence steps up. He's going to keep it himself, and he's got the first down and more. Down the sideline and out of bounds. First and goal. High snap. Etienne up the middle, and he is in for a touchdown.
You talk about Trevor almost stepping up to the plate. This play stands out with that.
Well, yeah, and a nice heads-up play by, I think it's Hasty there, 22, getting the block. Awareness for Trevor there. I wrote somewhere on the website this morning. That was a drive that when it happens, you don't really think of it as being key. And then after the game, you look at it and say, wow, they came out, they're down 17-7, and they go and they score quickly, efficiently. Trevor also made one pass on that drive. I think he only had one pass on that drive, but it was a pass over the defender that dropped into Zay Jones. It was another – everybody always likes to say, well, I've never seen Trevor make a special play. I've never seen him play above the X's and O's. He had 4 or 5 passes like that play I'm talking about to Zay Jones yesterday. That may not be highlight. Ashlyn may not even bothered putting it on the highlight reel. I mean, she just blew it off, right? But they're big-time throws that only special quarterbacks can make, and that's what I'm talking about. I don't think they win that game without those kind of throws from him yesterday.
That drive obviously was key, but the 45-second drive, right, after the Raiders go back down the field and answer, for them to come back and get a field goal every bit, gave him some momentum with the ball coming out in the third quarter, and you could see that he wasn't overreaching, he wasn't trying to go too far down the field, he was trying to set up the field goal, and he did.
And I think significant to Doug, he didn't say this in the press conference, but I think significant to Doug and Trevor, they went and got that field goal, the exact opposite of what they did last week when Trevor had intentional grounding, took them out. They didn't get 3 last week. That's the improvement they're looking for out of Trevor Lawrence.
Yes, lots of adjustments. Everyone was asking what kind of adjustments the Jaguars were going to make at halftime. Coach Peterson saying they didn't really make any down at half, but Jamal Agnew coming back is key for the Jaguars.
All to begin the second half. Carlson boots it away. We had some light rain fall during halftime. Here's Agnew on the return, and he's got some room. Agnew at midfield and finally dragged down from behind. Not sailing. 2nd and goal. Lawrence throws it. He's got it for a touchdown to Christian Kirk.
They missed Agnew.
Yeah, I mean, he once every other game, he's going to make a play that flips the field. And I don't know if he's the only guy on this team like that. I think ETN fits into that too. But field flipping in the NFL changes momentum for 5 or 6 minutes of the game. And that's a big part of every game, and he does it for this team.
And hopefully he's healthy enough now that they can put him on the field at the same time with Travis Etienne, who has emerged the last couple of weeks while Agnew has been trying to get back to form. And just having those pieces, right, for Doug and Press and the offensive mind group there to get through it, I'm excited.
Yeah, just have to scheme against them, even if they aren't contributing.
They're going to make you think
play.
about it. It's going to open things up for other people because Agnew, as you said, John, 1 or 2 plays a game is all you need from him to change the dynamic.
All right, to the fourth quarter we go now. Jaguars down by 10, and you have that feeling that they have to get aggressive right now.
It's a first down.
Instead, they flick it to ETN at the 5, cuts it up, and touchdown!
Travis Etienne, CBS post-game, they were talking about, do we get Trevor Lawrence, do we get Travis Etienne? We have to get both. Travis Etienne was a huge part of yesterday's game.
He's so impressive, and when a player is emerging as a star, and they haven't had enough around here, but he is emerging as a star, when that happens, what's always intriguing to me is you see something new in him each week. And I thought yesterday he became a back, he's been that, but showed that he can be a back that can grind it a little bit. It was 28 carries for 108 yards-ish. Didn't feel in the first half like he was going to be impact guy or 100-yard player yesterday. Figured out a way to do it. That's 3 straight games over 100 yards, doing it in different ways.
Yeah.
He's right now, he's elite.
And you talk about improvement. On the 13-yard run to set up his touchdown, you could just see him slide both hands over the ball and not try to be a hero. So he's had 2 critical fumbles in inside the red zone this year, and he did not yesterday because he covered the ball up. Also, credit to Evan Ingram and Zay Jones. They were running downhill on that, and both of those guys made excellent blocks.
Love it. Story of the fourth quarter with the Jaguars offense clicking was this defense, who could not get off the field last week against the Broncos. They did exact opposite yesterday against the Raiders.
With Las Vegas not able to stop the clock. 4th and 2. Carr over the middle, incomplete. Off the hands of Renfro. Pressure's coming. Carr is sacked. Smoot again with his 2nd of the day.
Dresches has to get after Derek Carr right here.
Carr will check it over to Bolden, and now he's going to try to lateral it across the field to Morrow. Morrow throws it back. Lloyd has it. Lloyd is down at the 15, and the Jaguars will win.
There were so many combinations of what we could have put defensively in this highlight to tell the story of the fourth quarter. A great problem to have.
As poor as the defense played in the first half, in the second half it was a complete turnaround. And you saw guys that you were waiting on to make plays. Darius Williams with the big play there. Devin Lloyd at the end of the game. Smoot. He had 5 quarterback pressures for Trayvon Walker. I mean, he didn't get him, but he was pushing the pocket and making him feel nervous. You still want to see more out of Josh Allen. I mean, you're still waiting to see 41, make those game-changing plays. We haven't seen those in a while. They need Josh Allen to emerge here over the second half of the season, the last 8 games.
Specific to Tyson Campbell, too, and sort of general on the defense, we talked early in the show about, what was going on in the first half. And I got a lot of questions about that. Well, you can't give him credit for the second half without wondering what the heck is going on in the first half. I've been saying all year, and I believe more and more as time goes on in this league, offensive players in this league are going to make plays, and you're going to get points. It's the way the league wants it.
Yep.
For Tyson Campbell and the defense to come back and make the plays at the end of the game that matter the most, that we have said all year that they haven't made, that's where you make your money. And for the first time this year, it really doesn't matter that much in this league if you give up 350 yards. If you play well in the fourth quarter, you're a winning defense. For Tyson Campbell and the Jaguars defense, and Smoot, that was winning football.
But sometimes you just have to break serve, right? Yeah. And with 7 minutes and 30 seconds left to play in the third quarter, for the first time since the first drive of the game, they broke serve, right? They came when it mattered the most. And you can look at a lot of different guys. And look, I'm sure Josh Allen had a couple of plays that they're pointing to and going, hey, that was great.
Yep.
Those guys in the second half flipped the switch.
For sure. And that is highlights from yesterday's win over the Raiders. When we come back on Jaguars Drive Time, some hot takes on a Monday morning.
Jaguars fans, huddle up for the best defense against expensive car repairs, CarShield. Score big with the nation's #1 automotive protection company, CarShield. They offer affordable plans that cover over 6,000 parts and systems in your car, truck, or SUV. Don't miss any Jaguars action this season with a car breakdown. Call the MVPs at CarShield for their best coverage ever. Call 800-471-1223. 800-471-1223. Go Jags!
Jags fans, it's Shaquille Griffin of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know you love when we put the QB in his place with a big interception, and now Luray Boyd Peanut Company is making every pick a winning play with the Peanut Pickoff. Every time the Jaguars make a pick, Luray's Peanuts is going to donate to youth football initiatives throughout the Southeast, and the Jaguars Foundation will match every dollar. We get one play closer to victory, and our kids get to train for a brighter future. Everyone wins, except for the other team's QB. But hey, that's his problem.
At Five Star Credit Union, you inspire them to go the extra mile to meet your financial needs. That's why they offer Jaguars fans more banking options like better rates and no hidden fees. Their team is also dedicated to making the communities they serve stronger, volunteering their time and talents while donating millions to local nonprofits. Five Star Credit Union, ViStarCU.org. Go Jags!
Move the freight, move the freight. Magellan Transport voted coolest office space in Jacksonville. Apply online at www.magellanlogistics.com. We're back. Jaguars Drive Time Monday morning means it is time for hot takes coming off the win over the Raiders yesterday. Brian, what are you thinking?
I think they should start Buster Brown the rest of the way at corner. The 7th-round pick from Arkansas got out there yesterday. Now, look, he missed a few tackles. And they played some zone concepts around him to help him out. But he's a fluid athlete, and he's a promising young player. Remember, at Arkansas, he led the SEC with 5 interceptions last season. So it's a guy who understands the position. I thought he played pretty well yesterday. You know what Trey Herndon is? And there's a role for Trey, but Monteric looks like a guy. Buster looks like a guy that you can play with if you develop him. And they're going to need him this week anyway, right? Because you're going to Kansas City, and they have 24 receivers on that roster, it seems like, now that they've added Kadarius Toney. And maybe this isn't the week that you want to throw him into the fire, but I think he's a guy that you can win with. And you need to find out what he is or whether corner becomes very high on your priority list next year.
Yeah, I sense it'll be high anyway in the offseason, but I agree. I don't see why you wouldn't do that at this point. Again, maybe not this week. What makes sense, you've got Kansas City, then the bye. You come back after the bye and you do it.
Yeah.
So that is a little maybe a little more conceivable.
But you're going to see him on the field a lot.
But I certainly
next
think
Sunday.
he continues to have a role no matter what.
Yeah. Right, and we thought possibly if the Jaguars, this losing streak continued, for example, you thought, okay, maybe you throw him in permanently just to see what he's got. But I still think he played up to the challenge where he's not going to be a liability if he's on the field.
John, I asked Deshae Townsend last week because I saw him go from the first day of training camp to the last day of preseason and get better. I saw a guy that was getting better. And so I said, did he continue that? And he said he has continued it throughout the season. On the practice field, we've seen him get better. He's earned the opportunity. Awesome. So you might as well find out what you've got. You're right. Next year, cornerback is a priority anyway. You can't have enough of those guys. Mm-hmm. But this guy looks like somebody who could evolve into a pretty nice player for you.
Mm-hmm. I like it. John, what are you thinking?
I said it before, but I don't think you can emphasize it too much in this show. This feels like a turning point game for Trevor Lawrence. I say that knowing that if next week isn't, then all of a sudden in 3 weeks I'll be saying it's a turning point game. But I guess what I said earlier rings the truest for this. It's the first time I remember walking out of the stadium thinking they don't win this game without him. Mentally, emotionally, leadership, playing-wise, it felt like his game, even though ETN was important. I mean, many other people important, but to bring this team back from 17-0 down when you had the kind of week, the kind of game he had, and to do it making smart throws, smart decisions in the pocket, poise, the whole thing. He just looked the part more than he's looked the part at any point in his career.
Well, Doug was complimentary of him afterwards, cautiously complimentary, right? He was solid. But he did talk about how he had made better decisions and made progress, and that's all you can ask of the quarterback. I'm paraphrasing there. Mm-hmm. So I agree. And I thought the 18-play drive, 10-minute drive in Indy was a turning point. And it didn't turn out it was. But when you see him come down 17 points, and again, I'm going off the body language and the look in his eye, in the postgame, he walked out of here thinking he was the man.
And there was a point yesterday, I thought, for the first time where when he dropped back, and you guys watch it and all the fans watch it, when he dropped back, there was a confidence, as I was watching it, that he's going to make this throw. Mm-hmm. You weren't hoping he was going to make this throw. You weren't wondering. It was, okay, he's got it now. He's feeling the touchdown to Kirk was a nice timing. He threw it at the right moment. There were 3 or 4 to the outside. I just thought he talked in the postgame about momentum.
Yeah.
I thought maybe he had more momentum during that phase. And to his credit, I think he had to create his own momentum. You know, it wasn't like it was easy from the start. He willed that to happen. I was as impressed with him as I've been yet.
As good a throw as we can talk about is the one where he's standing in the end zone and he's about to get hit, and he slides to his left and finds Marvin, right, for a first down.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That was, you're thinking, oh boy, this is just what you need, a safety here. And yet he stepped and made the throw. That was the moment I went, wow.
Yeah, he stepped up to the plate. It was really, we talked about the mental toughness a lot with Trevor this past week. It was really the first time, maybe second time, that he's dealt with criticism in his career. There were plenty of people saying, if he keeps playing like this, asking the question, is he your franchise quarterback? I think with Trevor, it's so clear. When he's on, he's on. Yeah. You talk about the look in his eyes, his body posture. You just know it's going to be a great day for Trevor. But now we have to see the consistency, because when he's off, it's pretty clear he's off. And the turning points, we now talked about 2 or 3 of them. You'd like to just go back to this moment because he's played consistently well the past couple of weeks.
I thought he was a little off early, and I thought he sort of willed his way to being back on. So I think he was better in that area that you're talking about where he struggled. I think that's, to me, was the most encouraging.
Yeah.
There was adversity. It wasn't like it was easy from the start yesterday, and he overcame that. Credit to him yesterday.
For sure. And also credit to Tyson Campbell. My hot take is Tyson Campbell threw his punch when it mattered most. Great credit for the disappearing act, basically, of Devontae Adams in the second half. John talked about it that first half. It looked like Devontae Adams was going to single-handedly beat the Jaguars. And I thought to myself, okay, this is one of the best wide receivers in the league. Tyson Campbell, up-and-coming player. Maybe he's just not quite ready for this challenge, and that's okay. Truthfully, I thought this could get ugly for Tyson Campbell, and I thought he would be the storyline for the Jaguars if they lost to the Raiders. And then you see the second half, 8 targets, 0 yards. Tyson Campbell stepped up to the plate at halftime. He talked about he didn't really change a ton. He just knew that he was presented with this challenge, and he didn't want to waste this opportunity. This second half, it's huge for Tyson Campbell. We talk about the turning point for Trevor Lawrence. That second half against Davante Adams is the turning point for Tyson Campbell.
You know, that was interesting. You said 8 targets for Davante Adams.
Yeah.
And Davante after the game was saying, hey, look, I don't want to rip on my coach or anything, but we stopped going to me. We stopped doing what we did in the first half. We can't stop. You know, I had the hot hand keep coming back to me.
Yeah.
They did 8 times.
And you didn't catch it.
Didn't. It was very notable to me because he didn't want to go, yeah, the other guy played well in the second half.
Uh-huh. There was some drama in that locker room. And they'd mentioned, Josh McDaniels mentioned maybe the difference was they started bringing more safeties around Davante Adams.
No.
Yeah, you got to make adjustments at halftime. He was killing you the first half. But that doesn't happen without Tyson Campbell.
They still threw at him 8 times.
Right. You said enough of that, Tyson.
He
played well.
it was a day yesterday for comments in post-game locker rooms around the league.
Uh-huh, sure was. And that is Hot Takes on a Monday morning. When we come back, some closing thoughts on Jaguars Drive Time.
Jaguars fans, huddle up for the best defense against expensive car repairs, CarShield. Score big with the nation's #1 automotive protection company, CarShield. They offer affordable plans that cover over 6,000 parts and systems in your car, truck, or SUV. Don't miss any Jaguars action this season with a car breakdown. Call the MVPs at CarShield for their best coverage ever. Call 800-471-1223. 800-471-1223. Go Jags!
Hey, Jags fans, Brian Sexton for Dreamfinders Homes. In a complex housing market, do decisions on the biggest purchase of your life stress you out? At Dreamfinders Homes, they can build the home of your dreams in one of their many communities in Northeast Florida. With a mortgage company in-house, they're here to assist you throughout the entire process. Choose from their wide range of single-family homes or townhomes from the 300,000s. Dreamfinders Homes specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. Call 904-590-2545 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Your hometown gate now has more ways to save. Introducing My Gate Rewards, a new loyalty program with member-exclusive savings and fuel discounts. Earn points on in-store purchases, take advantage of special offers, and save on products you love. Score free coffee, fountain drinks, pizza, and soft serve with Gate's frequent shopper clubs. Then use your points on savings at the pump. Download the My Gate Rewards app in the App Store today or ask a store associate for more information. Go from good to Gate.
I think it just shows the maturity and the type of characters that we have in this locker room, the leadership. We're halfway through the season. Obviously, the first half didn't go the way we wanted to, but in the NFL, you have to have a short-term mindset, and this is an opportunity to start off the second part of the season going 1-0. That was our goal all week, and we had the confidence going into it. Had a great week of practice, and glad to start off on the right foot.
Christian Kirk post-game in the locker room. Maturity was kind of a buzzword yesterday. I asked him post-game on the field, what'd you see from Trevor Lawrence? And he just said one word, maturity from the quarterback. Good comments from Christian Kirk. You can find that all on Jaguars.com. It is time for our JA lineman of the game. It has to go to Smoot, who now leads the team with 5 sacks, came up 2 yesterday. You see in the post-game comments and celebrations that everyone is highlighting Smoot, and deservingly so. The Jacksonville Jaguars would like to thank JA's frontline teams for all they do to help our community thrive. Please help us recognize JA Frontline Team of the Game, representing the 2,000 employees who work hard to serve you each and every day. Smoot deserves the credit today.
He's the best.
He is.
He's so much fun.
And a guy that just has carved out this role, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger each week. We're going to see him more on the field, and just a guy that has stuck with it through everything.
Well, he's got great perspective, right? So he was a rookie on that 17 team that scored 6 defensive touchdowns, that had Calais Campbell and Yannick Ngakoue and the cornerback who's no longer here and the linebackers. I mean, a great defense. And he was just a role player, right? Mm-hmm. So now he's seen a great defense, and he's seen some teams that aren't that good, and now he sees a team, and he gives you great insight into where they're actually at. Yeah. I think he's valuable for this football team on the field, obviously, and for those of us who cover this team, he's really valuable in the locker room.
He's a great guy.
He
he loves Jacksonville. He loves this town. He's a guy, and I think fans get this with Smoot. He's a guy who's so easy to root for, so easy to connect to.
Mm-hmm.
He's also their leading sacker not only this season, but over the last 3 seasons. Some of that is because Josh Allen was hurt for a big chunk of one season. But Smoot has more sacks than anybody on this team since the beginning of the 20 season.
Look, he'll rush the passer. He will play the run. He'll stand and talk after a loss. He'll stand and smile after a win. He'll deliver his own child if he has to, right? I mean, the guy is the ultimate utility infielder on a football team. He can do anything you need.
And I saw he was one-on-one on Devontae Adams a couple of times yesterday as well. Yeah, a lot of tools in that toolbox for Devon Smoot.
Fantastic kid.
He really is. And that is Jaguars Drive Time on a Monday morning. Stay with us on Jaguars.com the rest of the week. We'll be back Wednesday morning right here, 9:30.